In this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to add voiceover to your project.
Voiceover is a technique where narration is added to the video.
Voiceover is a really great tool to help give either more explanation, more information, or sometimes a little bit of context to things that are going on in the actual video. Like say you've recorded a procedure in a earlier video shoot, and now while you're editing it, you'd like to give it a little more explanation as to what you're doing, why you're doing it, something like that. So to get started, you're going to need to do two things. One is a microphone, and the other is called a blue icicle. Basically, both of these you can get from the front desk at the MSC. So we're going to hook up the microphone to the computer here. What we do is basically put this into here, and then this just converts the analog signal into a USB that we can then attach to the back of the computer. So now that we have everything plugged in, we should just start up Final Cut Pro.
And now that we have your project open, the first thing we're going to want to do is reset your Capture Scratch, because we're actually going to be generating files that Final Cut Pro is going to want to use later on, and so we need to tell it where to save those files. So to reset the Capture Scratch, we're going to go up here to Final Cut Pro, System Settings, and then go to Set, navigate back to your hard drive, and then go to the folder containing your practicum. We've been calling it the Your Name Practicum folder. Select Choose, hit OK, and now your project is all set up. So the first thing we're going to want to do is open the Tools menu and go to VoiceOver. That will bring up the VoiceOver tool bench. And a couple things you're going to want to change here are the name. Probably call it something meaningful like VoiceOver 1. And then you want to make sure that the source is set to Blue Icicle and that the input is also set to Blue Icicle. You want to go down here to your timeline and scroll through and find the spot where you'd like your voiceover to start. Let's just say we want it to start right here when the titles end. The titles are this clip right here. So we put our playhead exactly where we want it to start, and then we go over here to the record button, and you can then hit record. And a couple things you're going to notice after I hit record is the playhead itself is going to jump back a few seconds and start playing, give us a little bit of pre-roll to kind of get ready, and it's going to, over here, going to start counting down. And it's also going to give us some audio beeps to denote that it is counting down. You're not going to hear that on the tutorial, but when you do it in person, you will actually hear that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit record. And you'll see it is counting down, and as soon as it starts to say recording, now it's recording everything that I'm saying, and when we're done, it's going to actually add those directly to the timeline. So let's just say we're done recording, and here it is. It's called VoiceOver 1, just like the voiceover that we named before. And now if you go back here and hit the play button, you'll be able to hear both the audio from the original track and the audio from your voiceover. Now it's possible at this point that the voiceover is a little bit too low and you need to make it a little bit louder, or vice versa. The camera footage might be a little bit too low. So to learn how to edit the levels of your audio, you should go and look at the How to Edit Audio in Final Cut Pro tutorial. So now we have our first voiceover in here, but let's just say we want to do a few takes. Oftentimes when you do voiceover the first time through, it doesn't sound quite as nice as you'd like it to. The easiest thing to do is to take this here and move it up into your browser. So what that's doing is creating a clip on your hard drive and saving it there. So then here you can hit the delete button and then go ahead and record another version of the audio. And so then to do our second take, we do the exact same procedure as before. Move the playhead to the beginning of the voiceover and hit record. Wait for the countdown. And now we start recording whatever it is we'd like to record as we watch the footage. And then after we hit stop, the new audio clip is then added down here to the timeline. So now we have our second voiceover clip down here in the browser window. Now, if we're happy with the entire voiceover 2 track, we can just leave it as it is. But let's just say we really liked the first part of the voiceover 1 that we already had up here and the second part of voiceover 2 after we've listened to both of them. So how we combine the two of them is first we want to do is turn this one down here into a clip that we have up in our browser window. So we take that and pull it up here just like we did voiceover number 1, and then we can delete it here out of our timeline, and then we can pull both of them back down into the timeline down here. Now one thing you'll probably notice right off the bat is the original clips only had 1 track. Now it's been converted to a stereo 2-track clip. This really doesn't mean anything as far as we're concerned. So let's add back in the voiceover number 2. We'll put it here like this. And for some reason, when it audio generates this stereo clip, it puts them on non-adjoining tracks. And we're not going to worry about that because it works exactly the same and it will output in the final movie exactly like we want it to. So our example here was that we liked the first half of this first voiceover but not the second half. So we can edit this just like we've done before using our razor blade tool, and the same thing would go for here in the second clip. We liked the second half, so we'll go somewhere right around here, and when you're doing this you should play through and get exactly where you'd like, but I'm just going to estimate right about there and then go back to the selection tool and we can drag select both of those, and then if we hit the delete button, and this is the delete button that's to the right of the numbers, not the delete button that is above the directional pad. And then we can then move them next to one another, and now if put them where we want them to be over here. All right, now that's the basics of how to input and arrange your voiceover tracks. I definitely recommend the how to edit audio in Final Cut Pro tutorial. It will give you a lot more help into how to edit your audio tracks.